Hello everyone, this is Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com, and today I thought it would be fun to pull some from the blog and do a group session. So I will go ahead and get started. The topics I'm going to cover are schizophrenia, glyphosate, and energy auras. So I'll go ahead and start with question number one. It says, hi Lynn, I saw this video just recently, although it was recorded in 2009. Oprah interviewed a little girl, she was 7 years old at the time, that was diagnosed with schizophrenia. The little girl had more than 200 imaginary friends. What interested me the most was the part where the little girl told Oprah that there were imaginary animals on the border of her world and our world. For a little girl to be separating different worlds is astonishing. My question is, if this little girl actually sees something, and if so, what or who are they? And from what dimension? Also, her little brother self-inflicts. Is there something in their genes that makes them like this? Or is this something else? I have included the link of the interview. Thanks for all your wonderful readings. And I'll also include the link, and I watched some of it because I wanted to see Oprah, I wanted to see this little girl, I wanted to see the reaction, I wanted to get a vibe for the situation. And even though the reading is focused mainly on this little girl, I looked at schizophrenia as a whole. What does it mean and what happens to people? What is that experience? And I know I've done readings on this before, and by all means, please search the blog in the search menu area or the search field, and you can pull up other things I've done on schizophrenia. But going forward with this reading, I really wanted to tune into that situation. And so I got people that live and experience schizophrenic people. They live and experience multiple realities at the same time. And the frustrating part for them is everything feels real. This 3D world that we live in feels real, but so do all the other experiences that they have. And so the real problem is separating it out, because if you feel that this is real, you feel that maybe another layer that you see is real, it can be very overwhelming, and it's almost as if your mind is constantly filled with chatter. You know, we hear mostly things from this 3D world that we experience, but if you were able to tap into another world all the time, never shut it out, you had no filter for it, you're going to hear that noise as well. So you're seeing and feeling this world, you're seeing and feeling another world or reality also. And that's what these people have such a hard time dealing with, because it's very overwhelming. And I got that when they see things, because this related back to the question, they wanted to know, are they seeing it? Is it real? Sometimes it's in their mind's eye, and sometimes they see it right in front of them, just as if someone was standing in front of you. That's how real it can feel. And I got that this little girl, she experienced it from both perspectives. Sometimes it was in her mind, and sometimes they were standing right there with her, and she was able to, through, I would call it like a mental telepathy, communicate with them. Even if they didn't speak English, even if they didn't talk in a way that verbally she could understand, she was able to mentally communicate back and forth and had a really good understanding of what they were all about. The real issue I got, and I could see this being problematic, is these people are very sensitive, they're intuitive, they could even be psychic. They are very open to that part of their being. And through this openness, because it's very open, they are sort of a beacon for anything and everything on the other side to flood them. Beings of all dimensions and all vibrations and all frequencies, they want to be heard. They want to communicate through humans. So when a schizophrenic person walks around basically open, they're a floodgate for everything to rush them. And I got that it would be highly beneficial, even though this doesn't always align with everyone's belief system, that a schizophrenic person learn some element of the metaphysical world, learn how to create mental barriers, learn how to set protection and boundaries, because to some extent, if they understood that, they could gain control of how many things are infiltrating their mind, how many things are infiltrating their space. For example, if they had a good understanding and how this little girl had some things come to her that she labeled as bad or the worst one or something like that. I can't remember exactly how she phrased it, but essentially she realized that they had a negative vibe to them. If she had that mental wherewithal, she would be able to say, you know what, focus on it, say it out loud, say it in your mind. But she could say, you need to leave. You need to go elsewhere. You need to go to where you're better served. And by doing that, she can wheel away some of this. She doesn't have to be intimidated. She doesn't have to necessarily live in fear. So I feel like that's a huge benefit if people were open to that idea, to explore maybe the spiritual aspect of it, to learn how to gain control of that. I'm not saying it's going to eliminate all the problems. I'm not saying it's going to eliminate all the chatter, and I am not a doctor. I just intuitively got that would be a very beneficial thing to learn how to protect themselves. I also saw a few other things. Calming techniques such as meditation look to be very helpful. Again, that doesn't always align with everyone's belief system. It's worth trying if you know someone to see how that could benefit them. And I got that the goal would be to be at peace and feel in control of how you feel and also the other worlds. And after you get control, they can slowly learn how to incorporate both worlds to maybe make better sense of it, or at least feel more in balance. And again, I'm not saying that every problem they have is going to go away or that all the chatter in their mind will be calm, but it felt like a huge step in the right direction, offering some type of relief for these people. Okay, so the next question. It says, does massive glyphosate contamination have anything to do with the alleged steeply dropping birth rate in the Western world and other regions where glyphosate is used? Or is it mostly economics? And so when I first tuned in on this chemical, the big thing that I got that this causes is related to digestive and intestinal issues, whether it's Crohn's, whether it's irritable bowel, whether it's celiac disease. Those type of intestinal issues I see are a lot involved with this chemical that's put on a lot of different foods. And even though I got that, I wanted to take it a step further because that really wasn't the question that was asked of me. So when I looked at the infertility and I looked at glyphosate, I did get that it is definitely a factor with infertility, but I also got that there's more to it. More people are waiting until they're older to have kids, which starts to reduce your odds, and it also dictates your family size. And what I mean by that is, if you start having kids when you're 25 or 30, maybe you have 3 kids because you started earlier. If you start when you're 42 or 43, you may only have 1 or 2. So it's partly because your fertility starts to reduce, but it also controls the size of your family the longer that you wait. I also got that there's a lot of other toxins being introduced to people that we didn't used to have. We have environmental toxins, we have toxins in our food, we have them in our water, we have chemtrails, we have things all around us. And taking all that into consideration, it does affect fertility and family size. Okay, so this was the third question. This was interesting. It says, if you're in a room with thin walls, such as a home or a hotel room, can auras and energy of people in the immediate area influence your mood or even your dreams? And I do get that they do. You can even be influenced by residual energy of someone that was once there and they've even left. And I would encourage anybody staying somewhere to pay attention to their mood, and if they feel off, take a few deep breaths, mentally imagine yourself calm, or remove yourself from the situation long enough for the energy to dissipate. So yes, energy can hang around, and especially people that are sensitive, and I know I say this a lot, If you're a sensitive person, you will pick up on that. You can pick up empathically on moods, emotions, feelings, even events. If someone had a fight in a room that you're in and you walk into it maybe 10 minutes after the fight and the fight's over and done, you still can feel that. It can become part of who you are. You might feel uneasy, or maybe you feel aggressive and you don't know why. So I always encourage people, if you know this about yourself and you realize that you're a sensitive person or you're an empath, if you feel irritated, you feel argumentative, you have all those type of lower vibe emotions, ask yourself, are these my feelings? Are these genuine to me? Or do they really belong to someone else? And if they do belong to someone else, just take a breath and realize that. When you acknowledge that and then process that and tell it to leave, it really will. It takes practice and it takes a little discipline of doing it over and over, but you can gain control of that. So that's important to know. And that was all I had for this reading. I want to thank you for listening. Please feel free to leave a comment. If you like what I had to say, please like it, share, subscribe. All those great things help me out so much. I'm so thankful for it. And again, this is Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thanks. Bye.